Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're stripping away all the myths and stepping directly onto the bustling streets of ancient Tenochtitlan. We're going to dive into the breathtaking, terrifying, and profoundly sacred final 24 hours of an Aztec ritual sacrifice, and we're going to experience it entirely through your eyes. Let's get right into it.
Imagine this. The temple courtyard is absolutely packed. You can literally feel the heat of the morning sun on your skin, and you smell this heavy, sweet smoke of burning copal incense just filling the air. Now, as a captured warrior, you really should be the one basking in glory, celebrating your military prowess, right? But instead, the massive shadow of the Great Step Pyramid of Templo Mayor falls right over you. And that thick scent of copal, it tells you one unmistakable truth. You are the next sacrifice.
But here is where we completely have to shatter our modern perspective. Today, as you're taking your final breaths, the crowd isn't looking at you as a victim. They don't just see a prisoner of war. To the thousands of people looking up at you right now, you are divine. You are experiencing the world not as a mortal human, but as a living deity walking the earth. Okay, let's establish our timeline here because the clock is officially ticking. Over these final hours, ordinary, everyday moments are going to dramatically transform you. It kicks off at the 24-hour mark with ritual, purification, and fasting. This is a period of intense cleansing where you're eating unseasoned food just to prepare your body. Then, at the 12-hour mark, you're adorned in some incredibly specific, highly sacred garments. And finally, the climax. The imposing 1-hour ascent up the massive steps of the Templo Mayor. Section 1. Embodying the divine. So during this process, you become what is known as an Ixiptla. The root of this Nahuatl word is sip, which actually means skin or covering. And this is crucial. You aren't just putting on a costume for a play. According to the historical texts, your very essence is cosmo-magically transformed. You literally become a localized embodiment of the god, which allows the divine to be physically present right there among the devotees. To get you there, the priests meticulously prepare you for this physical transformation. First, you're bathed and ritually cleansed for absolute purity. Your skin is painted completely black, except for a ribbon tied across your eyes. You're dressed in these precious cotton embroidered clothes, crowned with an eagle down headdress, and fitted with a very unique snail shell lip pendant. And finally, golden bells are fastened right to your ankles, so they ring out with every single step you take. And this really highlights that the Aztecs didn't view you as merely an actor. As the historical texts perfectly put it, it is the deity, not the human, that propagates the concept of embodiment. So through these sacred garments, you actually assume the appearance of a god. And with it, there's this massive exchange of what they called tonali, your vital force. In this very moment, you are the exact god they are revering.
Section 2. The sounds of ceremony. As the afternoon sun warms up the sprawling, magnificent city of Tenochtitlan, the whole atmosphere shifts. It becomes incredibly tense, just thick with ritual sound. The air is practically vibrating around you. You hear the rhythmic beating of deep drums, the rattle of shells, the scraping of wooden instruments, and this piercing wail of flutes. And these aren't just background noises. These are sacred songs and signals specifically designed to guide you, the living god, through the highly choreographed rites of the festival. But hey, we really have to separate historical reality from internet fiction for a second. You've probably heard of those famous Aztec death whistles, supposedly used by hundreds of warriors to terrify enemies in battle. Well, the archaeological reality is totally different. These instruments were tiny, literally less than 2 inches long. They were singular, pre-Columbian air spring instruments found held by sacrificed individuals, and they were most likely used in intimate ceremonies just to help guide your spirit into the beyond. Section 3. Debt to the gods. So let's get into the immense cosmic logic here. Why must you die today? Well, to the Aztecs, the normal food of mortals, like corn, beans, squash, was just way too coarse for the gods to consume. They required teoyola. This was the divine fire, this incredible vital energy housed deep within your beating heart that literally gives shape to your thoughts and your sensibilities. The scale of this cosmic logic is just breathtaking. Your sacrifice is the crucial mechanism needed to release that teolia as pure energy for the sun, specifically for the god Huitzilopochtli. This isn't just cruelty for cruelty's sake, right? In their worldview, your death literally ensures the continuation of the agricultural cycle and prevents total cosmic collapse. And as for you, Your spirit gets to travel to the sky of the sun, where it's believed you will eventually transform into a sacred bird. And just to ground us in actual historical realism, we have to look at the numbers. Spanish colonial documents wildly claimed that in a single event in 1487, an unfathomable 80,400 victims were sacrificed. But when we look at modern excavations at the Templo Mayor and its adjoining buildings, we see a totally different reality. Archaeologists found the skeletal remains of only 126 individuals there. So those historical claims, massively exaggerated. The archaeological reality actually shows a practice that was deeply sacred and highly structured, definitely not some endless factory of slaughter.
Section 4. Ascent to Templo Mayor.
All right, your final hour is here. The sun is dipping low, and you begin the terrifying, deeply imposing climb up the Great Pyramid known as Coatepetl, or Hill of the Snakes. Imagine climbing those steep steps. Your heavy, ornate garments are weighing you down. As you finally step onto the massive platform at the top, the sheer scale of the architecture is completely dizzying. The roar of the huge crowd below is pressing heavily on your mind, and towering directly in front of you are two immense chapels, Tlaloc on one side and Huitzilopochtli on the other. Right at the summit, guarding the entrance to the chapel, sits the Techcat, the sacrificial stone. As you can see, it is high and very narrow. This is the exact stone where you will be stretched backward, and your cosmic duty to humanity will be fulfilled in full view of the multitude congregated all the way down at the base of the pyramid. And waiting for you up there are the actual tools of this sacred transfer. These excavated artifacts are just chillingly tangible reminders of the archaeological reality. On one side, we have sacrificial flint knives, which were actually personified with obsidian eyes and teeth, making the weapons themselves feel like they're alive. On the other side, a haunting skull mask, representing the god of death, complete with a flint blade protruding right from its nasal passage. Section 5. The Ultimate Transformation. We've reached the climax of your journey, the moment where the physical world gives way entirely to the purely cosmic. 5 priests hold you firmly by your ankles, wrists, and head. The chest is opened to extract the heart. Now, to our modern eyes, this looks like shocking violence, but within the Aztec worldview, you have to remember this is a profoundly sacred, essential ritual. It's a vital exchange of tenali, a literal transfer of life force directly to the gods to rebalance the universe, keeping the sun moving and ensuring the world itself stays alive. Your earthly vessel has fulfilled its duty. This breathtakingly accurate sculpture of the god of death, which was discovered in the House of Eagles, beautifully represents the completion of this transaction. The divine fire has been successfully released. The gods have finally been fed. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. When you truly step into the shoes of the Ixipla, feeling that thick copal smoke, hearing those piercing flutes, and believing with absolute unwavering certainty that your beating heart is the only thing keeping the universe from collapsing, how far would a society go to ensure the sun rises tomorrow?